Hi, and welcome to your Notan lesson. I will be teaching you how to do this fairly simple and idea yet very beautiful art making process in this demo. So, first of all, what we are covering, Notan squares. Notan square and Notan design is an art making process that originated in Japan and relies on balance and contrast to create unique and vibrant images. Contrast in the way that it uses light and dark, and balance in the way that it uses space to create different symmetrical or asymmetric pattern designs. For this process, it is fairly easy in terms of supplies, where the only things that you will need is a larger piece of colored construction paper or regular paper for the background, and a significantly smaller, this is a 4x4 inch cutout to go in the middle that we will be working off of and creating our designs from. For this process, I will be demoing on blue construction paper, and we will be creating images that can either turn out simple, like this example, or more complex, like you see in this example. This design process uses quite a few different elements of art, including space, and the way that you have to keep track of the simple images and shapes that you are putting down on the construction paper, as you will then cut them out, and then flip them on the different axis lines around the outer edge of your smaller square to create the full effect of your image. For this, I suggest using a white or a lighter colored pencil so that you are able to see the designs that you are drawing out. Scissors, if you are doing more simplistic or more basic shapes or patterns to cut out. If you are doing more complex and complicated designs, I highly suggest breaking out the X-Acto knife. Basic rules for X-Acto knife: never cut towards you, because there is a possibility that when you are using the cutting mat or whatever material you are cutting out, the X-Acto blade might kick back and either stab you in the fingers or yourself, and we do not want any nicks, scrapes, or accidental lacerations. Finally, at the end of the step, once you have everything drawn, cut out, and have made sure that everything flips and you didn't miss any pieces, you will be using Elmer's glue or a simple glue stick to lay everything down. For this, I will be focusing on more simple design that uses scissors to cut out the process. When you are creating, you're using positive and negative, and that is a very important concept to keep in mind. This is a subtractive process of art making. Therefore, anything that you put down will be cut out. You are erasing, tearing, or making it so that it cannot be put back together at any other point. So, for this, I am keeping in mind the different edges of the smaller paper. These will be the axis and the symmetry lines, for which you will be flipping out all of the shapes and all of the designs that you cut out. Starting off, I'm going to be keeping simple surface design and pattern making logic and mindset, and the fact that everything that I am drawing on one side will then be flipped and reflected on the outside of the square. This is keeping you on your toes through using symmetry and reflection to create simple surface and pattern designs. Now, after I have everything laid down and I made sure that this is what I want to be cutting out, I'm going to get my base piece of paper out of the way so I don't accidentally cut it or damage it, and I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to go around and cut along all of the white lines of all the designs that I've put down, moving the paper while I'm cutting for ease, because the paper does not move me, because the paper is not sentient and has no control over that. It is also easier in the long run to be able to navigate around any of the lines. Now, Notice that whatever shapes that I'm cutting out, I am placing up into this top section so that I do not lose it. Everything you cut out and every piece that you subtract from your design will come into play in the next step. The next step being aligning everything that I cut to make sure that it is all there and to make sure that I know what pieces I will be flipping. For this, the main piece of paper that I'm cutting from will be the base of the design or the home platform. For these two shapes right here, I will be breaking out my X-Acto blade and I will be carefully yet efficiently carving out these designs from the inner of my square. Keep in mind that anything that's floating in between and does not have an anchored point on one of the axis lines or one of the symmetry lines will, in turn, float off a certain distance from the main square onto the base construction piece paper. This process has been around for many years and is a very near and dear design tool that is taught for a lot of different people's undergrad classes in college, or used to better understand symmetry and basic elements of art principles. Now, once I have everything cut out and I've made sure that I have all of my pieces, meaning that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, I'm going to take this square and I'm going to trace around the edges with glue so that I am able to anchor it down to the paper and make sure that everything stays in one place. When you're laying down the glue, do the basic tracing method like you're making a pie crust, so that you are able to fill as many of the floating pieces and possible strays and flyaways down to the paper. Lining everything up, I'm going to do a diamond shape in the middle of mine. Press down and clear off the little extra bits of glue that you may find before we continue to the next step, aligning all of the cut pieces along the symmetry line to finish creating our image. When you're laying everything down, make sure to keep in mind that any pieces that you cut out on the insides of the flyaways will remain attached or floating with the main square, lining up each of the edges still to make sure that the image remains clear and unbongled. For the pieces on the inside, I'm going to be taking and guesstimating the distance of which I'm going to be flipping, making sure to align everything to keep symmetry. For the last two pieces, I will be speeding up slightly, as I am sure we are all excited to see the outcome of our works. Corners to corners, and making sure that everything is laid down correctly. After you have everything glued down and making sure that it is not attached to your fingers, the outcome should look something like this. The more complex your design, the more space is filled. It really makes you pay attention to how much of the paper you are using and what you are doing with your space. After everything is laid down and you make sure that you are not missing any other pieces, you have completed your Notan design. A fun, quick way to familiarize yourself with shape, pattern, space, and design. Thank you.